Well, hello, hello. Welcome to Super Soldier Talk. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you who are here for the first time ever, welcome to this weird part of YouTube where we interview people that were in the secret space program, who've gone through MK Ultra or Monarch programming. We have Montauk programming on here, various forms of mind control, alien mind control. We can throw that in there too. And we have a very special guest. So, formerly Angie Dollar, we have Angie Maxfield. She's been on the show before in the past, and we've even done panels before with Christy. And Angie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, good. I guess I'm a little tired. In case this is my second round here today, but we have to push on through because there's a very important update that you want to share here today about these books that you've put together. So let's see here. I can pull up your bio real quick. Angie Maxfield is a QHHT hypnotist, an SRT therapist, and today she will be sharing more about her two new books, Trapped in the Secret Space Programs and Twin Flame Hell. I will fix that in the description, so nobody comment on that. We're going to get
Well, I
that.
sent you the picture. You have like the picture of the two books, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Just go ahead and talk a little bit while I go get that picture.
Yeah, because I spent a lot of time picking out those pictures and paid somebody to do them to put them all together. But yeah, one of my stories, one of the pictures, if you pull it up, you'll see a woman on the Secret Space Program book, and it's like I was meant to find this picture because it stemmed off into this completely new story. That's one of the best stories I have in the book. Yeah, so the Trapped in the Secret Space Program book. I was about to finish it, and I found the picture of the woman in that suit. And I thought, this doesn't fit my story, like her whole suit that she was wearing. And then this story started coming to me as I was writing. I thought, okay, this is why I found this picture of this lady. And I altered her. I had her arm altered so that it's like a weapon on her arm. And it was a pretty interesting story with her because I'll say part of a couple of these stories. With her, she could recharge that weapon by pulling energy from the environment she was in. So she could actually, I know all this stuff sounds crazy to people, but she could actually pull energy from some other people's weapons. So, and she's like a cyborg female. They were trying to put these very dense muscular structures, and they wanted her to be able to remove her weapon. So she's not really a cyborg in the sense of taking physical parts off her body, like her eyepiece you can remove. That was something that was wrong with the picture too. Is like the picture I found, you could remove the eyepiece, and then this whole story started coming to me about how they could take the parts off of her, like the weapon. She has an arm underneath the eyepiece you can remove. She has an eye underneath, and then she could be something like a honeypot as well. So
Okay, so that we could see the artistic rendering there. Silver like suit, cyborg, probably silver like skin, right, Angie? Silver skin.
yes, she has kind of a different look about her.
Okay,
And
well,
so the way I came about the stories, like I started waking up to the whole secret space programs, milabs, all of that, only about a year and a half ago. But I have been doing hypnosis and energy clearing for about 10 years. Gosh, about 10 years now. um, but so I had a friend of mine. I took a class with Evie Lorgan. Have you heard of her?
yeah, I know Evie. I would love to meet her or interview her, but yeah, she's apparently I don't think she's active anymore. Her regressions, but she actually did live here in North Carolina, up in Asheville, last I was
Oh,
there.
really?
Yeah, but go
So
on. Yeah,
I
so
joined it.
she wrote about the
I
alien love bites. You want to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, I joined her group about a year and a half ago, which I thought was going to be a focus on the alien love bite situation, and that's what my second book is about there. And I just, during that class, I just started waking up to the whole secret space program, milabs. I started having, my first thing was I had a dream, and my dream is in this book. So, and then I just went from there. I was very uncomfortable during her class because so many things were coming to me. It was a wonderful class. Not really a class. It was like a group that met, I think, every Friday or every other Friday for a while. But I do see her occasionally, sometimes on YouTube or on other shows. And I did a one-on-one session probably 2 years ago with her. I don't know. Is it? Oh, okay, I see. You're like moving everything around. So in my book, I feel like some people, I read their books and there's kind of some general idea of what the secret space program is, that kind of thing, a little bit into stories. I try to go deep into some stories where I'm in these clone situations. So you're hearing what's happening with clones within the programs.
All right, Angie. Well, thank you for that. I want to actually go back a little bit. So um, let's go back to the point where you were. Was there ever a point in your life where you were asleep and then you woke up from the matrix that we live in?
Yeah, I think more of about 10 years ago that happened. And even before that, even back when I was in my 20s, I was in college, I started having dreams, and the very next day, the dream would come true. And I had to question myself because I didn't believe in psychics or anything like that. And I thought, well, how could this even happen? Does this mean everything's predestined? Everything's already happened? Did I move forward in time and then I moved back? So I was really confused by that, and frankly scared, and just freaked out over it. Um, and then that I just tried to, I think, shut it down. And then probably about 10 years later, I met someone who said, hey, well, that's a gift. It was actually a Christian religious person. I thought, oh, well, if a religious person is okay with this, maybe it's okay. And I'm not a religious person, but as soon as I felt like, okay, well, maybe it is a gift, then things started to open up for me more. And then I got into the energy clearing hypnosis. But and as far as the twin flame thing, the other book, the twin flame hell book, which I feel like is a love bite, I think it was orchestrated by aliens. I met him way back in like 2010, and I just broke things off just about 2.5 years ago. Not really very long ago, but there was some back and forth, some short times where we were apart. So I really felt like in writing that book, sometimes the switch would come on or the switch would go off. Sometimes I was like, I don't even want to be with this guy at all. And then there were times when I thought, I have to be with this guy. And I think he felt the same way. It was just completely unlike anything I'd ever had before. I definitely feel like it was orchestrated by something outside of him and I.
Okay, thank you. So when did you first realize you were in the secret space program or even a super soldier?
Well, that's as I was saying when I was in Evie's group, Evie Lorgren's group. So it's been only about a year and a half that I was in that group, and I had a dream that I included in that book, as I said, and just started having some strange things coming to me while I was in the group. One woman in the group had said, "Well, I'm trying to say some things to help kind of spin your memories." So she must have recognized me from the programs. So, since I do hypnosis and I do energy work, I had a friend of mine that I kind of taught her a simple regression technique so she could just help me to relax and keep me awake, because I can go into a trance by myself, but I'll just go to sleep. I'll go so deep that I'll go to sleep. So, I gave her some questions to ask me. And in the beginning, I really didn't even know anything about this. I think I had watched one person's story online, and I didn't want to watch any more stories. I wanted it to all come from me. I wanted it to be authentic. So I just gave my friend Lori questions that I could think of to ask. And I was immediately in a situation where I was a cyborg. And it wasn't a cyborg like on my book, it was a cyborg where parts of my body were missing and were replaced by these parts. I immediately felt the energy of like a weapon coming up my arm. And I immediately felt a artificial optical device on one of my eyes. And I think in that situation, I think I was on Mars in that situation with her. And I had a, I had a memory of fighting some sort of spider beings. They were very large and they had these weird long faces. I saw myself die in that, which must have been the cyborg being. And I actually, it's interesting. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. I heard a conversation where I was talking to another spider being. We were both dead. So it's like we'd both passed out of those bodies and into like a higher form. And the spider being was telling me, hey, we're just here protecting our families and you're raiding our area. And I said, well, I'm just doing what I'm told, you know? So those were kind of a couple of the beginning things of me waking up to this.
Thank you. All right. So, what are some of the ways that that we could recover our own memories? I guess you was it all through regression? You said you had some dreams, but yeah, watch it.
Yeah, I feel like the dreams, for me, I wasn't journaling my dreams so much, writing them down. I was making audio recordings because things were coming to me so fast and I didn't want to forget. So I would do that as soon as I woke up. And I feel like the regressions helped a lot because I would do a regression and then after the regressions that more things would come to me. And when I was writing my book, more stories were coming to me that I hadn't heard in regressions or I hadn't had in dreams. Just like that, seeing that picture of the cyborg lady on the cover of my book, like finding that picture. I've gone through tons and tons of pictures to find the right pictures for my books. And seeing that, it spun a whole new story. So yeah, I think journaling, keeping tracks of your dreams, writing, probably the regressions. I think some energy clearing can help. Talking to other people. I could see how it could help people to watch other people's stories. But as I said in the beginning, I didn't want to watch anybody else's story. I watched one person talking about it, and I was like, okay, no, I want to get a lot of my stuff out of me first, so I know it's coming from me.
There we go. Okay, thank you. All right, so journaling, regression, obviously journaling your dreams. Anything else that you could do? Uh,
Yeah, like the energy clearing, the making audio recordings when you wake up from your dreams. And if they feel like it fits for them, watch some other people's stories online. So I started watching other people's stories after I felt like I'd gotten a lot of memories back. So
Great. Doug, I was doing that for a couple years. I had 6 months of pages go missing from my journal. So you may want to do audio recordings instead and probably put them on the internet. So hopefully they won't delete them. Okay.
yeah, at least if you put them on the internet, I mean, I know it seems like we're being targeted. Maybe some things were taken from you. At least if you put them on the internet and other people have heard the stories, watched the stories, can't take that away from all of us listening to it.
All right. Well, let's go a little bit more into the book again. So we have your cyborg altar there, and what else? So what is basically the story?
Sorry, I wasn't even looking at my camera. Like my camera's off of me or something. I don't know what to do here.
Oh, I can see. Okay.
Okay. Oh, you can? Because it's like really big or something. I don't know.
Okay, Angie. I see you fine. Someone is asking. Actually, it's Minnesota. Oh, MN. Was she Tajitan? Angie, are you
I
Tajitian?
I don't know what that is.
It's one of the Palladian groups. I think there's like 5 different types, and
Is there something
they're
wrong with the
like,
camera on your side? Because I can't even like, get in the camera here.
you mean your head is being truncated?
Well, all I see is a curtain.
I see you just fine.
Okay, all
Audience
right.
members, does everybody see Angie? Yeah, I think she looks just fine over there. Okay,
Okay.
so the Taijitans are the one of the groups of Palladians that are more sympathetic to our cause and want to intervene, where some of the other groups probably just wish our planet gets reset. Like we go through nuclear war and they can come back and reset us. Anyway, but
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I mean, some things that when I was going through some of the stories, I wasn't getting a lot of names. I in one of the stories I was on series, and I was a pilot, but I was part alien. And so I was in a clone body as part alien. And it was a pretty interesting story because he did something that myself, the clone, did something that got him in trouble, and he was put into another clone body. So he woke up and he was just in shock, like, what the heck am I doing in this other body? And so when he woke up, he was supposed to have had all of his memories wiped, but he didn't have his memories wiped. So that just went off into this long story that I feel like that story in itself could have been a whole book. I just had to stop and end the book because it became really emotional. Which helps me to feel like this stuff is real. I'm not just making this stuff up. It's just coming to me so fast. I can type really fast. I can type faster than I can write. And I was typing so fast I couldn't hardly keep up with all of this information that was coming to me. Like I'm watching a movie in front of me play out. Um, but his story was pretty sad because he's just had his title as a pilot stripped from him, and he's just put in a clone body and essentially was a slave. So, and then there was a rescue to come in and try to assist, but it's just like you're kind of stuck in this situation.
so maybe could you discuss a little bit more on how they actually, if you have the information, how they would transfer consciousness between different clone bodies?
Um, I don't I don't think I got that information on how to transfer the consciousness from one body to another. It seemed like he was just I don't know. I don't know. The visions I got of him, he woke up in a hospital type of situation, and he was told by someone that he thought she was a nurse when she came in to help him. She told him that it was a different wing of the hospital that most people didn't know about, that the other parts of the hospital just seemed like a plain ordinary hospital. So and then his original clone body, original as far as we know, was just stored in a place, and it was like what you would see on television where they pull out a long drawer. And I kept looking at that, and I thought, this just looks like what I would see on TV, but that's all that I was getting with it. It was a long drawer where his body was pulled out. And the person that he thought was a nurse was showing him his past body, which was shocking. I'm feeling all this emotion from him, like looking at his body, which is me. It's part of my consciousness is there in this being. And she talked to him about how you can tell it's a clone, which was like a little fold inside of his ear. So it was all interesting because when he was in the different body, I'm like I'm walking through this like I'm watching this happen, and I'm listening to it, and I'm feeling some of what he's feeling. And she takes him downstairs instead of an elevator to take him to see his clone body that he's been taken out of. And he's like, I'm hearing all his thoughts, and he's thinking to himself, wow, it's really easy for me to fit my feet on these stairs because my body is smaller. He's like, oh, my feet normally is kind of like I'm struggling to walk downstairs because he's so big, like he's a big alien being. And then he talks about how the smaller body he's in, he's like, oh, it's like really lightweight, kind of like a ballerina or something. I'm just kind of floating as I'm walking, instead of, I was just seeing him as being this big alien just thumping down the hall, in this huge body. And then suddenly he's in this little lightweight body. So I was getting all these little details like that, just coming to me so quickly that I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't make them up. I'm just trying to type it out really fast as it was coming.
Thank you. All right. Can you discuss, maybe tell us a little bit more on how advanced the cloning technology is out there, if you have that information? Like, how big are the factories? Where are they? How long does it take to, yeah, how can they modify your genetics?
Well, for that story, the only thing I saw, like I said, was the hospital where he just woke up in the hospital. There was another place I saw, a different story where a woman and her husband were taken up to a facility in another area. I think it was outside of Saturn, and her and her husband were doing some research, and she was working in a pretty big place where bodies were coming in, and she was transferring consciousness. And I don't know the technology of how they do this, but she was transferring consciousness from one place to another. She was either taking it from one body that had passed away and putting it into a clone. So these could be bodies that were not originally clones. And so if she takes it from a body and puts it into a clone, then they were able to get information that they wanted from that clone. So they may go out and like kill a bunch of beings, aliens, humans, whatever, take their consciousness, put them in a clone and get information, or they would take their consciousness, put it into some sort of machinery and get the information from there. So when she signed up for that, like, she was taken from what she thought was, a good college, and she felt like she was taken in because she had done well in school, and it was like she was happy that she was put into this program to work off world. And then she finds out, she signs the dotted line, and they offer her a bunch of money. And then she finds out she's going to be doing stuff she really didn't want to do. So it didn't sound ethical at all, but she was stuck in it because she agreed to do it, and she needed to do it. She was stuck. So there were kind of some carrots being dangled in front of her, like money and some other stuff. So
Okay, Angie, and you were describing going to college. Is that like this other aspect of yourself, another timeline somewhere that got
yeah,
recruited?
it was like another clone. So she felt like she was just a human here on Earth, but these were memories that they put into her that weren't even real. She was a clone, so they were false memories put into her. So they took a part of her consciousness, put it in this clone with these memories of what happened in the past. Really didn't even happen in the past. Took her and put her up, doing this research, and taking the consciousness, putting them into clones or putting them into machinery to get information. And
Okay,
essentially, it became like a slave situation as well. She thought she was working in a prestigious job, doing off world research and medical things. And she was just working from, hours and hours a day, not seeing her family much or anything, just like a slavery type situation.
certainly, and cyborgs don't need to sleep very much, like two
Yeah.
hours a night or a day. Um, so ZV is asking, were you a scientist, or if you weren't, what different jobs or roles did your clones perform out there in the field?
So, so in that one, I was a scientist. Yeah, there was another one where the woman who did a couple regressions with me, Lori, where I was a scientist in another situation as well. And then in the one where the being was a pilot, he had to be taken out of the body and was put into a slavery type situation. So um, there was another situation, like when I was first taken into like the 20 and back. I've seen two 20 and backs that I've done. When I was taken in the first 20 and back, it was as a child. So essentially, you're just taken into like slavery. I was used for doing some psychic work for them in that situation. And there were just several different things I was used as a child. And then there was a situation where I was taken into being a cyborg, and I was used in World War II, but I was used on Hitler's side of World War II.
Um, Foster Percival says the process of capturing consciousness is like capturing a ghost in the mirror. I know Jimmy Payne was discussing that, where they would transfer a demon inside the mirror to capture it, and that was actually in the movie Constantine, which I finally got to see, and it was, don't really recommend it, but now they have a part two. I guess I have to watch. Your soul weighs 23 grams. They can extract this out using machines. Well, Mohawk, if you have any information, I know actually it was Ileana, the Star Traveler. She discussed this. She remember seeing the eagle, the German eagle. Can't want to use the other word that get banned on here. Okay. Let's see here. Also, Ghost in the Machine. That was an excellent. Wasn't that was the TV show on Netflix where you would like transfer your consciousness through like a microchip? Wasn't that Ghost in the Machine? Maybe I'm getting that one wrong. If I'm getting it wrong, please.
I don't know. Is that like a series or something, or a movie? I
Yeah, it
don't
was a
know.
series on. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? The like his family. He was related to a bunch of. He was like a police officer, and they were transferring content. Anyway. Oh, sleeve. They were called sleeves. That's it. I remember that. Anyway. Okay, well, how about this one? Did you ever get? You said you were sent back in World War II. Did you ever get to meet Hitler?
Yes, I did. And so the situation there was like we were captured, and we were taken and used and created into cyborgs. Um, and I talk about some details about that in my book. I don't know if I want to say on here some of the details of that. It just gets pretty grotesque, when you're being taken and you seem to be human, but you're in like a human body with it's a clone, and then they're just deciding, okay, we're just going to remove this and remove that and replace it with this machinery. So I get pretty graphic in the book because I can say whatever, and it's my book. It's not like saying things on here. Um, but it was interesting when I first so I did a regression where I saw some of that, but then I went to bed one night. So I'm doing these regressions with my friend Lori, or I just have information coming to me. So I had it set up where I was going to do another regression with Lori. But the night before that, I had a dream about my dad. So my dad is old enough to be my grandfather. He was actually in World War II here in this reality. And so I told her I'm not really much for connecting to dead people, but I told Lori, I said, I know she's open to that. I said, what if we like work on connecting to my dad's consciousness as he was here on this earth, because he's died years ago, and ask him to travel with us to this other reality where Hitler was creating cyborgs. And she's like, yeah, we can try that. Why not? And so he literally came in and said, yeah, I'd be glad to take you and show you Antarctica. Some things Hitler's doing in Antarctica. And so we saw where Hitler was creating cyborgs. And something I found interesting like that is that for Hitler, he just acts like these are war games. I saw him traveling through time, just creating World War II scenarios over and over. Like it's like you play a game with someone, you're like, okay, 2 out of 3 wins or something. Like he's just seeing like how many times he can win World War II, just setting it up over and over through time is what I saw. And I think we don't realize these time loops we're in, and these repeating of history that's going on here.
Right. I have some information on Malcolm. Do you remember the Malcolm? Remember Malcolm, Angie?
No,
Um,
no. Are you?
uh, yeah. Well, um, Well, I guess since I run this show, I'll go ahead and share it since I know you're the one that's supposed to be interviewed today, but I'll just share a little in it, audience members. If you don't like any of that, you can go watch another show. So Malcolm, let's see. In World War II, there's fighting going on. So this was a session that we did, Angie. Scientists are going to Antarctica. Cyborgs are fighting in World War II. So Malcolm was a pilot on the German side. He was in the, I guess I've already said the words, Hitler Youth, and he stands out partly because he's complying, doing what he's told. He's intelligent, has a high IQ, and can accommodate much of what he is asked of. Computers connected to his body. It's a new technology at that time. He had dyslexia, so he could not read and write very well, and it was a bleed of a reality from another planet in the Pleiades. I guess his lifetime where the words are reversed. So, if you know anybody has dyslexia in their past lives, they were on other planets where they read. So literally, they're not reading wrong. We're just reading wrong for them. So, um,
Mhm.
Malcolm wants to be part of the military service. He didn't have a choice. His family is poor, so that he could have food and shelter to make it easier for his parents. There was a secret cyborg program going on in World War II on some of the soldiers. They were cloaked and they looked like normal humans. People couldn't even see this technology. Malcolm was used as a cyborg. He was cloaked like a human. It makes it easier to connect with the ship's computer systems. The ship is also cloaked, so they also, I guess it would be knocked off in back then. It looks like a conventional airplane, but it actually is a very advanced technology. He also he does well as a youth and goes into another program, lots of training. Then goes to base 211, where they switch out his body 3 times. Malcolm 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Right now, he's in Antarctica doing military training, updating cyborg systems. So there's a big cybernetic facility in Antarctica, and we can go into some of that if you want to in just a bit. But he is a consultant in with upgrading other cyborgs, and he has seen my show. So hello, Malcolm. He wants to connect with me. So that is my altar there, by the way. So let's see here. Malcolm has dark hair, darker skin. He looks about 55 years old, thanks to age regression. Time is folded around him due to all the 20 and backs. And there's a rebellion in the works. His left eye is cybernetic to help him fly the craft in World War II, and he looks completely human now. Angie, does any of
Mhm.
that? Do you remember any of that session we did?
Yeah, yeah,
Does that
yeah, I
any of that ring
do.
a bell to you? Because you were saying that they first of all, how are there cyborgs in World War II? I guess they're using
Well,
time travel.
well, something what I've seen a few times, and I saw this in session with Lori, and I just keep seeing it. It just stays with me. Is that they were cloaked, where the other side. So the cyborgs fighting on Hitler's side were cloaked, where they just look like regular humans. Um, the other side couldn't see all of their attached parts, their optics or their weapons attached to them. They just look like humans. And I saw that in a couple of different stories, and it just stays with me. Just like when people, I know you've asked me, and other people have asked me, well, how are these presidents talking? They're from like different time periods. I said, well, they're time traveling. That's how they're talking. They're meeting and having conferences.
Yeah, I remember it was Daryl James. He said something about Mike Pence was supposedly like all the like people in the future look like Mike Pence. So supposedly he's like from the
Mm.
future. I guess a negative future. It seemed like. But anyway, by the way, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, that was the former vice president. Um, anyway, okay. So let's see here. ZZ, I watched that too. He's okay. Time travel is real. The technology, I guess that these secret groups is way more advanced than what we're told. So it's probably what 2,000 years. Angie, you think?
Yeah, yeah. I would see people getting into this time travel machine down in Antarctica, and you couldn't just hijack it and just get in there and push buttons and move to where you wanted to go. You would get into this machinery, and then you had to already have a code that you were given so that you could like cause the machine to start and you could time travel. And I don't think the code was like you're putting in numbers or anything. It's just this, I think it's just already imprinted on your body, on your system or something, so that you could get in, you could time travel. But yeah, I saw them going all through different areas of time, past and then the future. But something I did see was that there was like a block where they could only go so far in the future. So I'm kind of wondering if that's as if some things are up in the air, some things are not for certain destiny done yet, you know?
Okay. Well, what else could you share in your book about some of your alters or experiences that we should know?
Let me see. Let me look at just, I have a couple like 3-word notes here.
We can also maybe explore other advanced technologies that you witnessed.
I I'm trying to think like of a story that happened when I was a child. Um, but I think mainly it was that I was just psychic. But they would hook me up to a machine. I remember them hooking me up to a machine. I can't remember everything I wrote in the book about this, but they hooked me up to a machine, and I was just suddenly like in nowhere land. You know, I was just like in this void before I connected into what I was supposed to connect into. And the interesting thing about this one situation I had when I was being used for psychic abilities as a child is that I was seeing these like overlays of different meetings happening. Like they sent me to a room where I was supposed to be, eavesdropping, spying on meetings that were happening with government officials or military, whatever kind of thing. But I was seeing overlays, like I'm seeing like different things happening through time, and I had to like kind of push through and go to the right time period that what they wanted me to go to. I was seeing so much happening. I'm like, okay, this is the one they want me to go into. It's kind of like opening a history book to the right time period. So, but technology, I mean, I'd have to think about it. There's so much. One thing I saw that was interesting was that, and I actually heard this a few weeks ago too. I heard that, we can think that we can be ahead of the hackers, and we have such great technology. But what I was getting from my sessions and from my own, psychic abilities is that the hackers always know more. They're always ahead of us because the people in these certain programs who are in charge of the programs, they're going to get hackers, the best hackers, to come and work for them. They're going to either offer them money, or they're going to make threats against them or threats against their family. So it's like they're always ahead of us.
Oh, do you have any funny stories to share in your book?
I had something. Let me just say something about a dream I had. And if somebody had any information on this, I just saw Christy. Maybe she'd have information. This is something I'd like to look at further, because I had a dream just like maybe a week ago about time traveling back to, and I think it was 1955. Because I asked someone, I'm like, where are we? And so I'm walking in this line. There's like 2 rows, and there's men in front of us. There's about 5 or 6 men in each line in front of us. It reminded me of the military. I've been in the military here in this reality, because we're walking in line. But I was told that we are actors. So there's these men in front of us. There's about 5 and about 5. I'm next to this black lady and me, and I'm thinking there are no other women. But then when we get inside, there's one other woman, and we get inside a place where there's a whole bunch of people, like a conference or something. But I'm being told we're actors. We're going to be actors in a movie. And I said to the lady next to me, black lady, it's like, oh, I asked the other woman, I'm like, what year is this? And she said it's 1955. And then I say to the woman on the other side of me, I said, things are going to be much better for us in the future. They're going to be much better for you in the future, which I don't know if that meant for you as a woman, for you as a black woman, I don't know, and then I just come out of it. And generally, when I wake up from a dream, I can expand on it some, but I couldn't get anything else out of that dream. But I thought that was interesting. It made me think that maybe I can travel back in time and actually enter my body as a child, or someone else's body as a young adult or a child, or if we can travel forward in time and do the same thing and just kind of hijack part of their consciousness and move around and just discover what's going on, maybe even make some changes to the past and improve things. So as we move up, it's even better now. So,
Well, thank you for sharing. Do you have any information about any other time traveling altars? Maybe where you can
um,
release into the future.
no, I don't think so. I wasn't getting a lot about the future. When I was working like as a psychic for them, I was mainly just working as a spy. I had one story in the book where I'm working like as a honeypot, but I'm also working as a hypnotist. Like I'm hypnotizing, I'm taking over this guy's mind at night when he's going to sleep and altering his decisions. He's like working in politics. I'm altering his decisions that he makes, which was pretty interesting.
Okay. Well, what about any missions that you were sent on in the book?
Well, that was one of my missions to go to try to sway this politician to go to war, to be pushing for war, which he didn't want to do because it was election time. And he thought, you don't want to go into something big during election time like that. He didn't see the polls as wanting to do that, leaning that way. Let's see, other missions. There was a mission to we were trying to take someone captive, and that was actually the first dream I had that got me to wake up to this SSP stuff. And I was able to look at that more when I was writing my book. A lot was coming to me about what was going on, like why were we going to capture this man? And we wanted to capture him to get some information from him. But in my book, I said, I don't know why we have to keep him alive. Generally, we could just kill him and, take his consciousness. And I was so like neutral about it. Like as I was writing that portion, I was just so, like my emotion was gone. It's as if my altars were split off so much. I just don't really have any care about someone living or dying. But we were told to keep him alive and take him in. And it was difficult because that group, I was there, I was a cyborg, and I was there with other cyborgs. And they had something that interfered with our equipment we were wearing, and it just caused some of us to just drop down and be at their mercy, and they were able to actually take us captive.
Thank you. Here's a great question from Christy. Does Angie remember being in a time of Abe Lincoln?
I don't, but it's kind of funny because I feel kind of an odd energy as she's saying that. I've seen a lot of I don't really want to say a lot of stuff about presidents, but I've seen a lot of information about presidents have come to me. I've had dreams about a couple of presidents through time, people in the past, and it wouldn't surprise me if I had, you know.
Same here, Christy. Okay, great. So, do you have anything else you would like to share about the book, um,
Um,
or you want to go to this
I
other
don't
book?
I don't think so. I think I'd like to talk about the other book.
Okay.
I've been writing for a while. I have a master's in writing, and I finished my master's in writing way back in 2012. I wrote a vampire book, and so this summer I was wanting to go through and edit that book and add some visions to it that I was having, but I got so caught up in the Twin Flame book that I thought, oh, I've got to finish that first. And then I started getting caught up in the Trapped in Secret Space book, and I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on with the vampire book? So I think I just had to get this stuff out of me first before finishing editing my vampire book. Um, with the Twin Flame book, that's my story of my relationship that I had for so long that started in 2010, and we ended a little over 2 years ago, and we were together most of that time, like a long time together.
Okay, so it's called Twin Flame Hell: Life with a Reptilian. Now, is this a fiction or nonfiction?
This is my story with the Twin Flame that I met him back around 2010, and I was with him most of that time up until like 2021, mid 2021, 2022. It's been like 2 years. It's been a little over 2 years I've been away from him. So it's not very, in, from my experience, it's not very popular to say the negatives of twin flame. There's still a lot of groups out there that are just promoting the wonderful love of the twin flame. And, when I've had clients come to me caught up in the twin flame thing, I generally, well, I always work on getting them back on track of, well, let's focus on you. Let's do some energy clearing for you. What do you want? Because people will get so wrapped up in the twin flame that it's just, it's like they start to lose themselves. And that's really how I felt during that situation is I had to take at least a year of like, well, who am I? What do I want? Where am I at in this? At least a year being away from him. So
Okay. So at what point in your life did you realize that he was a reptilian? I guess we can start with that.
I think it was mainly when I joined Evie's group a couple year and a half ago or so, or it was more than that maybe now, about a year and a half ago. I started thinking, oh, I think this is a love bite. Like I had already ended things with him, but I didn't even really realize it completely that I must have been taken over and controlled because I've been in a lot of relationships. I've been married. I've lived with someone. I've never had a hard time finding someone to be in a relationship with, but it was like an obsession. Like I've got to be with this person, and I started to question why do I feel like this? It's not like he's this perfect person or the last man on earth. There are other people out here to be with. Um, so I started to really get some visions and get some insight into, I think this is a reptilian. Now, the thing is, in the front of the book, in the front of the book, I start talking about some of these magical moments that happened when I was with him, like magical psychic moments, some out of this world crazy stuff that I think generally you would attribute to your twin, like, oh, everything's coming online with me and my abilities. I think that's a bunch of false stuff out there. So I was hearing people say at the beginning of my relationship, I was hearing people say, oh, okay, we planned this before we came here. So what did it look like when you planned this before you came here? So one day I sat down and I just lit a candle. I just lit a white candle. I'm not a witch, not into magic or anything. I thought I'm going to light a candle, sit down and kind of meditate on this. And I immediately was pulled to another place where I saw him and I making a plan to come here. Now, this was like pretty early, like 2011 or so, or 2010 or so, when I didn't have any idea about abilities or anything. I was like, what the heck just happened? So I thought, oh, I was shown our plan to come down here. Isn't this magical? Well, at the end of my book, I talk about a different vision where where I'm being, hoodwinked, bamboozled into coming here and dealing with these alien negative forces. So I felt like I was shown the truth.
Okay, thank you, Angie. So at what point did you realize it was time to end the relationship? Like, what did he do, or what did you do? I don't know.
You know, it just became it became very clear like why am I with this person? I know back when I was in school, when I was in college, I met someone. I had a couple of friends who were a few years older than me, and one of them had got married. And he said, you just put it on a scale and you decide, no, it's the bad outweighs the good. But with him, I thought about that and I thought, there is no good. There is no good here. It's just, I never know who I'm next to every day. I don't know if it's going to be this terrible, mean, abusive person or if he's going to be super kind. I was walking on eggshells every day with this person. And I do address, some people would say, well, he's just a narcissist and you're just obsessed or whatever. But and I address narcissism in the book. So I think they do have a lot of characteristics of narcissist. but it goes beyond that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I have an interview with a lady that was married to a narcissist, and she even wrote a book about it. I need to get busy starting editing more videos, but I have a new laptop on the way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're gonna get that done. Thank you. So when you left him, or when you ended the relationship, did he gaslight you? Was it really like, did he stalk you or anything weird? Did he get violent?
I I ended the relationship, and when I ended the relationship, I was in the process of moving, so he wouldn't know where I went to next. And I literally blocked his phone. I blocked his son's phone. I blocked his son's girlfriend phone. I blocked their emails. So if he wanted to contact me, he would have had to have gone out of his way. So I think he got the message. He got the message. I haven't heard from him.
Okay, so in that book, so who, when you wrote it, who did you have in mind would be a good audience for it?
I feel like people who have figured out that the twin flame lies that are in the community online are lies, that they're encouraging you. There's some sort of negative energy within the community that's attached to people that's telling them lies, that they need to stay in this relationship because it'll get better. It's helping you to grow. It's mirroring what needs to come out in you and heal. Just that kind of, those kind of lies. So I'm hoping it's people who are like, oh, okay, this is not true. I've got to get away from this person. And I haven't. I seriously don't think I've seen any other books out there like my book and Evie's books. I mean, there must be others that are talking about this. And I know there are some other people talking about that twin flames is a love light. It's alien orchestrated, but there are way more groups that are promoting it. I can't believe it's still being promoted. Because as I said, I've been in it since 2010 and I just discovered it probably around 2014. So I was in it for several years before I even knew what it was. But I was seeing stuff online around 2014, and I know there was stuff online before that just from looking back at um, older books and stuff.
So do you think the memories of being with him in other lifetimes and deciding to come and work together again, was that implanted memories into you, or was that, do you think that was real?
You know, I think the thing of being with him in other lifetimes were probably implanted by the aliens, you know, like they were imprints. Um, and I think the vision of the plan to come down here was an implant as well, because at the end of the book, I talk about this is what I feel really happened because I saw this big, long vision of them capturing me, taking me from a higher realm where I was more. I was more in control of my consciousness and what I wanted and what I thought, and being able to create. You know, I was in a higher area. I was taken and I was put down into a lower realm, and I was put into a slave situation energy and beat up, traumatized, and then I was brought down here. This is what I saw. And that was with reptilians.
So could you tell the audience some signs that someone is a narcissist, some like warning signs? Yeah, so in case, for people that might be subjected to it and they just live through it but may not be realizing that they are living with a narcissist.
Um, there are some signs I saw, and when I got to that section, that's the section where I wanted to actually do research. And if the person you're bringing on has written a book on narcissism, maybe he or she did the same thing. I wanted to mainly pull up peer-reviewed current research on narcissists instead of just throwing out all my own ideas. I wanted to have support. Like, okay, you can try and say this is just narcissism. Well, here's some stuff that says maybe it is narcissism, but it goes beyond that. So, a couple of things were like the gaslighting, the abuse, the going back and forth, being like one person one moment and another person the next moment. Um, I think those are probably the biggest things that I saw with him. So I feel like there's like a beating down, like just slowly pulling me down, down, down to a low level where it was really hard to recover from.
So at what point does one make the decision to leave?
I think when someone wakes up and decides, you know, gosh, it's like people have got to realize you deserve more than this. And I talk about that some at the end of the book, that you deserve more than this. In the twin flame community, they'll say, well, you're having these problems with them because, like I was saying, it mirrors what you need to recover from. And I even had two people who was like twin flame couple who said, oh, well, you're clearing for him in this lifetime, and maybe he's clearing and healing for you in another lifetime. But no, good relationships don't start bad. I know a few people who are in very good marriages and they started good and they stayed good. So I think that just looking at your past relationships and saying, okay, well, is this really how I should be treated? Is this how anyone should be treated? Good relationships aren't up and down in a very big way. I mean, I think relationships, you have to work together. You may have arguments, disagreements, may not be perfect, but I think a good relationship is not going to have these huge, huge lows in the relationship. Like I had with him. I could walk in his house and he just starts yelling at me for no reason. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. And if I would say anything back to him, it would get even worse. So I was just like this little child in a cage. Like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want it to be drawn out any longer than it's going to be. But I think if you get to a point where you literally just laugh at the person and walk out, like I did one day, I literally laughed and I walked out. I said, you're probably going to kick me out anyway, so I'm going to leave. And I literally laughed and I walked out. So when you get to that point of asking yourself, like, I don't deserve this. Why am I with this person? I'm seeing enough people online saying, no, this is orchestrated by something outside of me. I'm going to move into a relationship that it starts out good and it stays good.
So Angie, we got a question from the audience. How would you know if someone was not human, looked like one? Maybe what their eyes would turn into slits, but that could also mean they might be a feline being, not just reptilian.
Yeah, I saw his eyes go really dark several times, which was interesting. I didn't see them change into slits. I have seen that with a couple of people. Um, what was interesting about seeing his eyes go really dark, like my eyes probably look black here, but they're hazel. They turn like really dark brown or they turn green, depending on the light. His eyes were really blue, like your eyes look blue to me. His eyes were really light blue. So to see someone with light blue eyes right in front of me, their eyes go really, really dark, like mine look now, it's like, what the heck? To see them go really dark, like a black looking eyes when they're angry, sometimes I was like, whoa, what's what's going on here? Um, and sometimes he just literally looked, and I can't explain it because he didn't look like a reptilian, but he would be standing like a reptilian, and his eyes would be really dark, and he would be just yelling at me, and it was scary. It was scary. I mean, he threatened to hit me twice, and his wording that he said were it was exactly the same both times, which was weird, like a computer or something. He said, sometimes I feel like I want to hit you in the face. And, that was at the end of our relationship. There were these moments where it's like, I got to get out of here. Like, I would look back on it and I would think, how could I have stayed with this person? Because I've never taken anything from anybody ever before. I literally, when I was only about 22, 23 years old, I literally had someone I was dating push me when he was drunk. I hit him and I knocked him on the ground, and that was it. So it's like I'm just not the kind of person to take something from someone. And I think that's another part of it. You're going to take stuff that you wouldn't take from anyone else. And I think it's a thing to ask yourself, why am I taking this?
Okay, thank you. Wow, let's try to wrap this up. We got a few questions here. ZV is asking again, regression. How does that work?
Well, the regression takes you to a relaxed state. so that you can get the answers you want. I feel like the regression takes you to a place where you're releasing your ego, you're relaxed. You can, as you're letting go of the ego and relaxing, you're able to connect to that higher part of yourself so you can get your answers and get your healing that you want.
Okay.
And the thing is you're still aware. You're not going to be so out of it that it's like you're drugged or something. You're still able to open your eyes and look around, so it's not a scary place to be.
Okay, like most things, do you think that the twin flame thing could be positive or negative? Divine counterpart versus love bite. Definitely, they will pull you. They will both will challenge growth, but one will pull you down.
I think that, I think that some people, you can get caught up in this false thing online if you think, oh, this person is just challenging me to grow. I think if you're with someone that in any way it feels negative, to back away and just decide, I don't deserve to be with someone that in any way is negative. So if you say to challenge growth, are they challenging you to grow in a positive way? Are they supporting you? Or are they being pushy and controlling? Because pushy and controlling is a negative thing. And I don't like to put labels on things. So can we just uh, take the labels off and not decide, oh, the twin flame is the highest relationship and that's what I want, so I'm going to put up with all kinds of crap? It's like, no, that's not a good relationship.
Okay, from Christy again. Has Angie been speaking or writing light language? As she speaks, her light language flows out like golden glitter light with symbols.
Um, I haven't really been writing light language for a long time, and I know some people have controversy over that, but I was doing that when I was a child a lot. And, I've done it on and off lately, speaking the light language. And sometimes when I'm just sitting and doodling, it just starts happening. And the funny thing with the language, I noticed when I first started doing this, is that like we write from left to right, but with the light language, it's like it's different. It's not from left to right. So I noticed that as I'm doing it. And sometimes I do it when people are in regressions because I'm taking notes and I start just making these symbols, and I thought, well, that must be about them, but I'm not going to give it to them because they may be like, what is this?
Richard Gannon has excellent free info on narcissistic abuse and healing from it. Info on creating boundaries and sovereign thinking. So go check that one out. Thank you, Count Coop. Appreciate that. And then here's a question: can you spot the no C's around here?
Can I spot them around here? Well, I mean, there's a lot going on with a certain ELEC that's coming up. I don't want to spell the rest of it out. Um, I think there's a lot going on around here in the United States and around the earth right now. So,
How about what the other alternate timeline where the not C no C's were in charge of
yeah,
the
I mean,
in Texas, the Dallas area, right?
yeah, because you and I did some sessions where they're up here. Because I'm back here, I moved back here from Arizona. I'm pretty near that area that we mapped out. Um, Houston's a really weird place because there's a few million people here, and there are people from all over the world, all these different cultures, and some people are not the nicest people in the big cities. Yeah, so you and I saw a portal here in Houston where people are passing back and forth to this other reality where those not Z's are in charge.
Okay, thank you. Guten Tag to you, Joshua. All right, so we have any other questions in here? Ted Bundy's eyes were said to change to really dark. Even his cousin said that. And I've seen people, their eyes turn black, and it's like there's like no soul there. Do you think there is a soul there? If you see someone with black eyes?
I don't know. They could be taken over by entities. It's just weird, like hearing that, because now I'm like, I feel this vibration up here. They could be. I kind of wonder if Dolores Cannon talked about backdrop people who are here without souls or with just like a portion of consciousness. And I wonder if they're taken over by entities. I think for him, I kind of wonder if he was just driven by entities. I don't know what was driving him.
Thank you. Okay, so from Christy again, a praying mantis and blonde hair plating males around you. Is the plate in your aspect? I would say maybe one of my, what do they call it on the other side? Your guides, right? Their guides are really just deceased family members, or maybe a future family member. I don't know. And then the mantis, it's been described before. It's more like an antid like creature, like a brown antid. I think they might have a base below here. So I was gonna pull this up. I don't know, Angie. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Can you interpret this one? I just got this one earlier this week on
What is
Monday.
this?
I,
Oh, your mark on your hand. You know
yeah,
what?
that was a
You
Monday.
You know what? You messaged me, and when you messaged me like a week or two ago, I had scratches on my legs, and it didn't make any sense because I had them on my calves, like on the inner area of my calves, both of my on the inside. And it's like there's no way I would have scratched myself. I wasn't doing any big scratches. Like one of them is still here. They're both like about 4. Like how the heck did I get that? Besides being taken and being like grabbed, with claws. So,
So maybe a
yeah,
reptilian or antid.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Something's taking us. And I heard someone talking recently about this. She said, I feel like I've been taking, just my consciousness is taking, but my physical body is getting marks on it. It's like, well, yeah, you're probably being taken in your physical body, you're getting marks on your physical body. I feel like, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, I was feeling a reptilian in this room. And when I was working on my books this summer, there was 3 weeks where I was working on finishing that first book, the Twin Flame book. And I just decided to go out in the country, stay in an Airbnb in the country by myself. And occasionally there were reptilians coming in. I couldn't see them, but I could feel the energy. And I thought, they're trying to block me finishing this book, you know? And I just had to do energy clearing and just like stay positive and keep going forward because I could strongly feel it in the room.
Thank you. Have you met benevolent reptilians? And if so, ain't they earthbound? Are they, or maybe are they earthbound or extraterrestrials?
I was having a vision, something about a positive reptilian just a couple of days ago, but I couldn't get the whole thing. It was something about a positive reptilian. But in any of the stories that I've seen or I've experienced, I haven't. I know that there was a while back that Yumi and Christy looked at something up on a spaceship where a positive reptilian was helping you. I think that's the one that's been around you for a long time,
Yeah,
right?
Tian, the 14-foot
Mhm.
tall reptilian from Diaries, looks like a dinosaur thing. But
That's my dog over there.
yeah, people are asking what's the growling. Well,
Oh, yeah. It's my dog.
he or she, probably a he is
Yes,
sleeping, or she is
she's
sleeping
sleeping.
over
Yeah,
there.
she's
Okay.
sleeping. Yeah.
All right. Um,
I
well,
had to do it late. I had to do it late so she'd be sleeping. So I knew I'd be sitting up on the bed next to her.
we still have a few more questions. We're gonna try to end this soon. Okay. Has Angie seen a blue reptilian around her?
No, I haven't, but I guess she has seen a blue reptilian around me.
Maybe it's not as big as
Oh, it
Godzilla.
looks like a Godzilla. Oh, you know what? You know what, Christy? I'll have to say is that when I was in like that pilot that I wrote the story about, like there are a bunch of short stories in my book, but I felt like the one about the pilot could be a whole book. So I feel like I plan to expand it into a book. He looked like a reptilian, so it could have been him when I was in that body of that alien being that looked. I don't even want to say it looks reptilian. Like I keep saying, he looks kind of alien, but he looks reptilian. So I don't want to admit to being in a reptilian clone, but I was in like a reptilian clone. Okay, I'll say it.
All right. Well, Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your website and what you do?
I do hypnosis, and I do energy clearing. I do hypnosis in person here in Houston, and I've done it in Arizona when I live in Arizona, and I do it online as well, and the energy clearing.
And the name of your website is?
AngieMaxfield.com, or Future Life Today. I want to show my dog too, so hold on.
Yeah. So the link is in the description. Oh.
I gotta wake up the dog.
Oh, sorry. Oh, how old is she? She looks
She's
like a
9 years old.
9. Okay, a pug.
9 years old. Yeah, a little pug.
Pug something.
Yeah.
They shed a lot. I know my friend had a pug, but actually the neighbor had a pug, and I would give it treats all the time because I wasn't allowed to have a dog myself at the time. But the dog would like to pee on you. I think it was trying to mark you. It would get so excited, it would jump on you, and try to pee. The pug. I don't know. Does yours do that?
No, she doesn't pee on me. She gets excited, but she doesn't pee on me.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And what's her name, if you don't mind sharing?
Her name is Ren, like Rin, just
Oh,
Rin, Ren.
hi, Ren. Okay. Might be the
She's
star of the
been the
show.
best dog. She's the best dog.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're done here. So, the link. Did I link it? I don't know if I did. Did I link it? Oh, I did. I told you to go. So go to the website to find out where to get the book, and also I would be very appreciative if you want to do it, or if you have the resources to donate to Healing Soul Survivors. So that helps support some of the work I do, and the hosting costs and website and all that, and travel. If I haven't, I'm not going to be able to travel much this year because donations are down, but maybe you could help with that. You could also
You're going to Marfa, right? Aren't you going to go down to Marfa Lights and in Texas?
well, yeah. So I haven't really put the website. Okay. So okay, I'll make the announcement. So I am putting together, uh, with Renetta Jones, with her help, a tour in Texas where we're going to look for Egyptian artifacts, monuments. Of course, it's now since long decayed. It was from a Kemet civilization, which was existed there during the time of Atlantis. So that tour is going to be 10 days, and we only have probably like 8 spots. So um, if you want to join us, maybe you can send me email. You can be like, you be in before I even put the website together. Uh, so I would love to see you out there in Texas. And again, that's the end of April, early May. We're doing that. And what else? Any other? I've got some more announcements, but I don't want to make the announcements yet until I'm ready. So we're gonna leave it there. Go to Neological Tech, buy yourself a book. I talk about the cyber body that I was in had a left eye piece that was heat seeking. They could change it out, but it wasn't just heat. It could also look into other dimensions. So the left eye, and then they had like glass plates they put over the head so they can take stuff in and out of your brain, depending on what they needed the cyborg for. So, and you can also buy yourself a meditation cube. Maybe I can turn the camera right there. It's what it is. It's a little blurry, but you put that in your lap and you meditate with it. And I've got like 5 more of those in stock, and a few more, the more expensive models. But you could get a cube. Great, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, there you all have it. We have some. Oh gosh, great. We had some more comments, but thank you, Christy, for your all the love in there, and the light you share. And we have want to say also we had some great questions from the audience. Thank you, Z. I appreciate it. And then we have Foster. Thank you for your contributions. Of course, Josh. It's always interesting to alien talk. Okay.
Pug, the alien dog.
Josh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very supporting vegan there.
She sees orbs, which is interesting. On my cameras, I know you're trying to end everything, but I saw her like watching an orb, and I can't see them unless I go back and watch the video. If I watch the video, I see them, but she just sees them in real life. Like, she'll be like watching them, and then I look at the camera. I'm like, oh, she's watching orbs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
dogs are really psychic. Does she ever know when there's like aliens showing up in your house?
She, I think that I don't know if sometimes the orbs are connected with aliens or something, because sometimes she'll just watch them and she's like okay with them. But one day she was barking at an area down at the end of my couch, and I woke up at night when I was living at that place. I didn't have a door on my bedroom door. I wanted it to be like all open. I left the door open, and I woke up and I was like, the lamp is on. Like, I wouldn't leave the lamp on because it would have woken me up. And then we were like walking out during the day, and she's like barking in that area. The lamp came on by itself. Okay. And so she's barking in that area. So I set my iPad up over there to video, and there was an
Oh
orb
wow.
over. There was an orb over there. And something turned on the light.
Oh wow. Yeah, they
Yeah.
they probably would if they were to abduct you. The dog would probably come too. But they
Mm-hmm.
would. Okay, Eric, we're gonna bring Jimmy's coming back on in the end of October. He wants to do another show about souls. He was the priest in the Exorcist movie. That was actually based on. They did change a few things, but that was a true story. So you might get a little scared. Okay, let's see. And auf Wiedersehen, auf Wiedersehen, and adieu,
Avijazane.
auf Wiedersehen, and adieu, adieu to you, Josh, or Paula, and we have goodbye, Christy, and yeah, we're gonna just they keep coming out. All right, goodbye, everyone. We'll see you all later. I'll be back here probably next Tuesday, I think, and we will all see you on the other side. Go get yourself a meditation cube and donate some money. See you all. Okay, bye.
Bye. Avijazane.
Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.